There are over 35,000 museums within the United States, welcoming over 850 million visitors each year. Did you ever wonder what goes on behind the scenes in museums, creating the displays and exhibits we all enjoy? Join us as we explore museums and their exhibits from the inside out. Hi, I'm Leslie Mueller. Welcome to Museum Access, the show that takes you to America's top museums to talk to the experts. Then we go behind the scenes to learn even more. We're in New York City at the American Museum of Natural History. In 1874, the first cornerstone was laid, and today the museum occupies most of Manhattan Square, overlooking Central Park. Pioneers in the field of paleontology, geology, geography, biology, anthropology, and many others have been associated with the museum since its very beginning. Visions of Indiana Jones come to mind as you explore this museum. Today, we're going to explore the stunning Mignone halls of gems and minerals, displaying one of the most spectacular collections of its kind in the world. There are over 5,000 specimens from 98 countries. These galleries tell the story of the vast mineral species on our planet, how scientists study and classify them, and how we use them for personal adornment, tools, and technology. We'll see a 12-foot amethyst geode and the stunning Star of India sapphire that's over 563 carats. We'll even see minerals that actually glow in the dark. Then we'll go behind the scenes to learn even more about what it takes to transform an 11,000 square foot space into a breathtaking showcase for a world-class collection. So are you ready to learn more about the natural treasures of our planet? Let's go. The American Museum of Natural History is one of the world's preeminent scientific and cultural institutions. The museum is renowned for its exhibitions and scientific collections, which serve as a field guide to the entire planet and presents a panorama of world cultures. The museum's research enterprise includes one of the most important scientific collections on the planet. It's an invaluable resource for approximately 200 museum scientists and for scholars around the world. In the beginning, there was the Earth, and that's where we start our tour today. The Earth and Planetary Science Halls offer clues about the origins of our solar system. The Hall of Planet Earth focuses on Earth's climate and the effect of human activity on it. You can discover how climate works and explore the consequences of climate change. When you're ready to unearth the paleontologist inside you, head to the Museum Fossil Halls. It's one of New York City's premier attractions. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is one of the largest theropod dinosaurs that ever existed. With a 4-foot-long jaw and 6-inch-long teeth, I wouldn't want him coming towards me. The dioramas in the museum's mammal halls are world-class, with a huge variety of mammals from around the world, including the greatest living land mammal, the African elephant. In the bird, reptile, and amphibian halls, you can explore the anatomy, behavior, and adaptations of these incredible animals. The biodiversity and environmental halls offer an inspiring vision of the spectacular beauty and abundance of life on Earth, including a walk-through rainforest diorama featuring 160 species of flora and fauna. The Spectrum of Life is an evolutionary trip through the amazing diversity of life on Earth, including 1,500 specimens from the smallest microorganisms to terrestrial and aquatic giants. It's the only one of its kind in the world. There are also examples of extinct and threatened species, including the dodo bird and the threatened Siberian tiger. You can see the world's largest animal close up in the Hall of Ocean Life. The 94-foot Atlantic blue whale model is one of the most popular exhibits in the museum. Its tail alone is 28 feet long. By the way, it took 25 gallons of paint and 21,000 pounds of foam and fiberglass to create this iconic blue whale model. You can meet your distant relatives in the Human Origins and Cultural Halls. There you can trace millions of years of human history, from early ancestors who lived more than 6 million years ago to modern Homo sapiens. Finally, you can blast off at the Rose Center for Earth and Space, which encompasses the spectacular Hayden Sphere and exhibitions that explore the vast range of sizes in the cosmos, the 13 billion year history of the universe, the nature of galaxies, stars, and planets, and the dynamic features of planet Earth. The American Museum of Natural History has rightfully earned its reputation of being a museum with world-class exhibitions and collections. It's a must-see whether you're planning on spending a night at the museum or a visit during the day. This is one of the most exciting collections I've ever seen, and I know this has been your baby. Tell me a little bit about the journey of the collection, first of all.
Well, the collection is as old as the museum is, so that's 150 years, but it's had several times when it grew substantially, once toward the end of the 19th century, at the very beginning of the 20th century, and then we added a lot in the 1980s. We acquired a collection, and so that was major. So it's really doubled in size since I've been here.
Were most of the specimens as large as what we're standing in front of here? Or was
generally, we do not collect things this big. These signature specimens are acquired for exhibition purposes, so it would only be in the case of a new hall or some kind of new exhibition we get these very large objects. Otherwise, most things we get are smaller, sort of smaller than a bread box, bigger than your fist type size.
Well, I know we're going to look at some of those, but let's talk a little bit about how the minerals, how do they actually form in the environment? And there's such a variety.
Okay, so that's really what the subject of the hall is mainly about, mineral forming environments. So minerals form when there's a transition from one state to another state. So the one we like to use as an example of that would be when water turns into ice. Ice is a mineral, so freezing would cause it. So people are familiar with volcanic lava. And so when that freezes, it turns into a group of minerals, not a single mineral, but a bunch of minerals which make up a rock. So all rocks are made of these minerals, and all the transformations that go on in rocks can transform the minerals in them. And then on Earth, we have water. Water is an incredibly important part of crystallizing minerals. So many of the specimens in the hall came out of cavities or veins, fractures in rocks, where minerals crystallized in those openings because they crystallized from water. And so that's really a big signature of planet Earth.
Is there certain areas, are there certain areas that are richer in minerals because of the environment? Or
in terms of the minerals that people like to collect, good large size crystals of things of that sort, yes, there are, but they're all over the planet.
So when you're excavating something such as this, let's talk about this piece that we're standing in front of. First of all, what is it?
Okay, it's called a geode, and it formed inside of liquid rock, magma. And what happened is in addition to liquid rock, there was gas dissolved in the liquid rock, and as it started to cool, the gas came out and formed a giant bubble. And so this is like the inside of an egg-shaped bubble of gas. And so then once the rock started to solidify, that bubble got preserved. But the rock, when it solidified, then was subject to groundwater getting down to it. So, rain will go through, and it dissolved some of the glassy stuff in the rock as the rock cooled quickly. And that's what the quartz crystals are made out of. They're made out of silica, which is the principal component in most igneous rocks. And so that dissolved in the water and then crystallized into this cavity. So the outer part of this geode has what was known as chalcedony. It's a very fine-grained agate, as an example. So the edge is that. Then there are quartz crystals, which are sort of white, but they're actually colorless. And then the interior is the amethyst color.
Let's talk about that color. That's gorgeous.
Yes, so the amethyst is the result of radiation, natural radiation. Probably the radiation came from the element potassium, which was in the rock. And it took millions of years for that radiation to change the quartz from being essentially white or colorless to this amethyst color.
Would it ever have been completely white?
Yes, so soon after the interior crystallized to these crystals, which may have taken anywhere from hundreds to maybe 1,000 years, then it would have been just colorless quartz or a little bit whitish quartz. And then it took millions of years then to get to the state it's in now. And the other reality is if we wait millions of years more, it won't be colorful again. It will become kind of gray.
So it kind of fades.
It fades
back.
because of the radiation changes what's going on inside the quartz. It turns iron into a oxidation state that is not stable. And if you let that sit for a long, long time, it goes back to a more stable state, and then this will turn sort of yellowish gray.
And does having it exposed like this
If we
make a difference too?
If we expose this to sunlight, it would happen very fast.
Oh, interesting.
So one of the challenges is when they excavate these things and they take them out, they have to cover them up and not let sunlight get to them.
And how is it actually excavated? Is it?
It's an underground mine. It's an underground mine, and they look for these egg-shaped. As they're excavating, the rock has become punky. It's softish because it's weathered.
Okay.
And so they can recognize when they're getting close to one of these giant geodes. And then they basically excavate around them, and then they use giant earth movers to remove them. But they're basically like it looks like a coal mine underground.
And they won't know what it looks like on the inside till they get it
Exactly.
up and then crack it open.
Yeah,
so some might not be as spectacular, or.
But most of them have amethyst in them, for they come from this place. And
Where is this from?
Artigas in Uruguay. Okay. And so if you actually go online, you'll see warehouses full of things. Not this big, not maybe this spectacular, but smaller ones, lots and lots.
So I know that there's some specimens in here that are actually wood, but they look like stone. Can you tell me about that?
So we have a slice that's almost 7 feet across. And I saw that for the first time at the Tucson Mineral Show about 4 or 5 years ago. And when I saw that, my eyes lit up because it reminds me of a big redwood slice that we have in the Hall of North American Forests. And I thought, how better to make this connection between minerals and life than to have a slice of petrified wood that looks like a slice of giant wood, and it does. So that is a piece of metasequoia that grew in Oregon about 33 million years ago, and there was volcanic activity that went on there that kind of blew down the forest and then covered it over with volcanic ash. And just like with this thing, the silica, the quartz component of the ash, was dissolved by water and then percolated down and started replacing the wood, essentially molecule by molecule. And of cellulose is replaced by silica, and you wind up with essentially a graphic representation of the slice of wood. So it looks like wood, but it's actually quartz. It's a mineral, it's rock. But the other thing that I've been told by one of my colleagues is he thinks they're termite pieces inside of this wood, and he's going to come down sometime when he's around and take a look to see whether we also have like petrified termites.
That would be interesting. Yeah, well then that would have to be, those would have to be moved to a different part of the museum, it sounds like. Now, what are your favorite pieces in the exhibit?
Oh, there's really too many to count. This is certainly a new favorite. It's so spectacular. We call it the amethyst galaxy, because if you sort of stick your head in here, it looks like you're looking inside of a galaxy from a great picture, a great telescopic picture.
Like sparkling stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's also talk about birthstones. I know that My birthstone's diamond, so I always felt very lucky about that. Where did that start coming into our society, talking, associating a gem with a...
Birthstones have a diverse history. Some of it comes from Vedic mythology, so that's essentially Indian and Southern Asia, but also the breastplate of Aaron, part of the Jewish tradition. The breastplate has stones in it, and those got identified as birthstones as well. And so there's been a tradition of birthstones that goes essentially way back thousands of years, and it gets changed by every culture. So there's also a Roman birthstone series. And so in the United States, because we commercialize things so much, we have diversified the number of birthstones. So normally you'd expect a birthstone for every sign of the zodiac or every month of the year, but typical in the American tradition now, there's 2 or 3 or 4 different birthstones. So you got some choices.
Of course, yeah. That makes sense though, actually. And I could see how different cultures would value different stones also.
Yeah, I mean, we're all, cultures are all different and they have different traditions, and it may have something to do with availability as well.
George, this piece behind us is so stunning. Can you tell me what it is?
It's known as the Singing Stone. It's a block of azurite and malachite ore that comes from Bisbee, Arizona. It was extracted in about 1893, and then it went to the Chicago World's Fair in 1893-94, and then it was given to us by the Douglas family and has been here ever since.
Was it in that shape when it was extracted?
It was cut out of the solid rock, and it represents about 2,000 pounds of copper if it had been smelted.
So that's the journey. Where does the singing reputation come in?
So supposedly when it was first on display here, we didn't have any air conditioning. So we have climate variability in the exhibit halls. So in the block itself and the minerals will either absorb water from the atmosphere, from water vapor, or give it off depending on the humidity and the temperature. So apparently, particularly during the changing times of the year, spring and fall, as the humidity changed, it would tend to start squeaking because it literally grows a little bit bigger as it absorbs water from the atmosphere, and then it shrinks a little bit when it gives that back up. And so that change of size caused it to creak. So that's the story, but since I've been here, it's been in air conditioning, and I've never heard it squeak, and I haven't heard anybody tell me it squeaked.
Well, I know I've heard you mention the advantage of having a flashlight when you come into this exhibit. Show me what you can see that we wouldn't normally see.
So there are cavities in the specimen, and when you shine light, you can get better color. All right, you can see inside these openings, these voids.
Yeah.
So, and there are many other specimens in the hall where having a light really will bring out some features you can't see with the lighting that we have. So I'm all for telling people to come with a light, in particular in the gem hall. Because in the gem hall you can see the sparkle and cat's eyes and things of that sort.
Give us a little overview of what we're going to see in the gem area.
Well, there are over 2,000 stones in there, so it's a real treasure chest of gems, and that's really due to the luck of our having been donated a bunch of collections, and we've chosen to try and show people all the varieties for the different stones that we have. So it's really like walking into a treasure chest.
It is, and I saw something called a Star of India.
The Star of India is our premier stone. So it's a 563 carat star sapphire. So that's look like a golf ball. And it has an eye in it when you shine a light on it. And actually, if you move the light, the eye moves, or if you move, the eye moves. So that's part of the fun of things like cat's eyes and star sapphires.
Did it come out of the ground looking like that?
No, no, no. It was probably an elongated crystal. So it was probably about maybe this long and that big around.
Okay.
And it was polished. It was cut and polished to give that effect. You can't get the star effect without polishing it in the round, which is called a cabochon, which means bald head. So it's supposed to look like a bald head.
So when gems started to be used for adornment, how long ago was that?
A very long time ago. So the polishing aspect developed over time, and then the faceting aspect happened after that. So faceting has probably been known since before the Roman period. So
that early.
Egyptian period, there's latter part of the Egyptian period, there are engraved and polished stones. The just round polished stones are known much earlier than that.
Well, I noticed a necklace that almost blinds you when you walk in. That is diamonds.
Yes.
Tell me about that piece.
So that's the Michel Ong necklace that was given to us only at the end of last year. And so one of the issues with diamonds is they don't tend to be very big. So when you put stones like that in a necklace, the weight is like over 1,000 stones. Oh. And so it just glitters at you. The other thing that people should notice is the flash of colors that come out of diamonds, which is due to their called dispersion. It actually improves as you go away from it, because the color is changing with position as you move your head. So if the farther away you get, the more colors you see coming out of the necklace. And that's true of most diamonds.
So as we're moving a little deeper into the exhibit, I'm noticing over your shoulder some of the most stunning colors that are in nature. I know artists used to grind, certain stones to get color. You can't even mimic some of these colors.
That still happens using natural pigments. Behind me is a case that really demonstrates the color, like you just said. And the large reason for that is because of life. So life produced oxygen in the atmosphere, and it really changed what was possible in the mineral kingdom. So many elements, particularly what are known as the transition elements, when they get oxidized, when they get more oxygens around them, they get more colorful. And so I like to say that life really produced color on the planet. And we don't have other planets with oxygen on them in the solar system. So we are the lucky ones to get all this color. And certainly we know how to appreciate color.
We sure are, and we do appreciate it, but I can't figure out how are they all so different?
That's because
oxygen is oxygen.
Yes, and it's not the oxygen. It's the actual metallic elements that are ionizing, and they are the things that are producing most of the color. But the oxygen is adding oxygens to those elements changes their color properties.
Well, and then you get the whole area where you've got fluorescence. Let's talk about what that is. They basically glow in the dark.
So fluorescence is the property when you shine light on something that it gives off light at a different frequency, at a different color. So ultraviolet light is high energy light that is invisible to our eyes. We can't see ultraviolet. But when you shine it on a material that's fluorescent, the material absorbs some of the energy from the ultraviolet light and then releases it in the visible spectrum. So what happens is that's the day glow kind of color, or that sometimes they're used in parties with black lights, and you'll see people glow, and most of our clothing will glow in black light as well. So fluorescence is an interesting property. In fact, almost all fluorescent lights use the property. So that the tube produces an ultraviolet light, and then there's a coating on the glass tube that fluoresces, and that's why you see white light out of a fluorescent light, is because it's experiencing fluorescence. So we use it, all right? And similar things are done in most of our television screens, which are no longer glass or anything, but they use rare earths that do this luminescent effect as well. So it's a technologically valuable property.
Yeah.
But we use it in the hall that deals with minerals and light to show off a big block of ore from the Sterling Hill mine in New Jersey,
It's
which
gorgeous.
is known as the fluorescent mineral capital. So we were able to negotiate with them and slice off a giant piece of rock that when you shine ultraviolet light on it, it glows orange and green. The other thing for me is it also shows a little bit of the geology of the layering in the rock.
Well, who would think that a humble rock would have this dramatic impact on technology too?
Yes. So it was discovered by accident initially. So it was a spark from an arc when they were wiring lighting inside the mine that they realized that it could fluoresce.
Oh my God.
And then that was taken advantage of later on. And so many people have collected minerals from there, and it's well known as a source for fluorescent minerals.
Organizing 5,000 specimens from 98 different countries is a Herculean challenge to say the least. Let's take a behind-the-scenes look to see how the Museum of Natural History team placed each specimen, large or small, into their final positions after careful preparation. Whether you're interested in the earliest artistic expression of the human race, present-day life on Earth, the evolution of stars, planets, galaxies, and the universe, or you'd just like to take a night at the museum tour, the American Museum of Natural History is a great place for explorers of all ages. Thanks for joining us on Museum Access, where every visit is an adventure. I'm Leslie Mueller. See you next time.